There are moments in history when the world shifts quietly. No declaration, no emergency summit broadcast across global television, no single headline dramatic enough to capture what is actually unfolding. Instead, the transformation happens in fragments, weapons transferred under cover of darkness, military advisors arriving on discreet flights, alliances reinforced through private meetings where cameras are not allowed. It begins subtly. A missile system moved closer to a border, a radar installation upgraded, a political speech that sounds slightly more defiant than usual, small movements, each defensible on its own, but collectively signaling something far larger. Right now in the Middle East, one of those shifts may already be underway. The group at the center of it is Hezbollah, a militia, a political party, and a military force combined into a single structure. Backed, trained, and armed by Iran, Hezbollah has evolved over 4 decades into one of the most powerful non-state actors in the world. This is not merely an organization operating in the shadows, it is embedded within the Lebanese state. It influences legislation. It commands loyalty from tens of thousands. It maintains a parallel military infrastructure that rivals conventional armed forces in scale and sophistication. And the question now is no longer whether tensions are rising. The question is whether a regional war is already forming in slow motion, and whether the United States could ultimately be drawn into it. Because when regional deterrence systems begin to strain, they rarely fail in isolation. They fail in cascades. To understand the gravity of the current situation, it is essential to understand what Hezbollah actually is and what it is not. Hezbollah emerged in the early 1980s during Lebanon's civil war, a conflict that fractured the country along sectarian and political lines. Initially formed with Iranian support after Israel's invasion of southern Lebanon in 1982, the group positioned itself as a resistance movement, but over time it evolved into something far more complex. Today, Hezbollah is simultaneously a political party with representation in Lebanon's parliament, a provider of social services including schools, hospitals, and reconstruction programs, a regional military actor with experience gained in conflicts beyond Lebanon's borders, a strategic extension of Iranian regional influence. This hybrid identity is what makes Hezbollah uniquely powerful. It is not constrained by the traditional limits of either a political party or a purely underground insurgency. It operates in both worlds. Its military wing is widely assessed to possess over 100,000 rockets and missiles. These include short-range projectiles capable of saturating border areas and longer-range systems that can reach deep into Israeli territory. Some are unguided. Others are precision-guided munitions designed to strike infrastructure targets with increasing accuracy. Ports, airports, energy facilities, military bases. The scale matters. In previous decades, cross-border clashes between Israel and Hezbollah were limited in duration and geographic scope. Today, the volume and sophistication of Hezbollah's arsenal suggests that any future conflict would be dramatically different in intensity. Hezbollah has also adapted technologically. It has incorporated drone capabilities, both reconnaissance and armed variants. It has invested in hardened underground infrastructure designed to survive airstrikes. It has developed anti-ship missile capacity capable of threatening naval operations in the eastern Mediterranean. This is not a loosely organized militia operating with light weapons. It is a structured force with centralized command, layered defensive systems, and strategic planning aligned with regional objectives. And its primary adversary remains Israel. Hezbollah's doctrine emphasizes deterrence through volume. The idea is not necessarily to defeat Israel militarily in conventional terms. Rather, it is to raise the cost of war to such a high level that large-scale confrontation becomes unattractive. But deterrence is a fragile equilibrium. It relies on both sides believing that escalation would be catastrophic. The danger arises when one side believes the other's threshold is shifted. Hezbollah does not operate in isolation. Behind it stands Iran, not simply as a sponsor, but as a strategic architect. For decades, Iran's leadership has invested in building what many analysts describe as a regional influence network, sometimes called an axis of resistance. The concept is straightforward but strategically significant. Instead of confronting adversaries directly in state-to-state warfare, Iran cultivates allied non-state actors and proxy groups across multiple countries. These groups operate within their local political environments while maintaining ideological and operational alignment with Tehran. The effect is a dispersed deterrence system. If pressure is applied to Iran directly, response can occur indirectly through allied groups positioned in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, or Yemen. This structure creates strategic depth. Iran supports armed groups in Iraq that have targeted foreign military presence. It maintains a strong alliance with the Syrian government. It backs Houthi forces in Yemen, who have demonstrated missile and drone capabilities extending into regional shipping routes. And Hezbollah remains its most capable and strategically valuable partner. This network enables Iran to exert influence across the Middle East without necessarily engaging in direct conventional war with more technologically advanced militaries. It is a model of asymmetric power projection. Rather than relying solely on traditional military strength, Iran leverages geography, ideology, and local grievances to build a constellation of aligned forces. This approach serves multiple purposes. It deters adversaries by creating multiple fronts of potential instability. It increases bargaining leverage in diplomatic negotiations. It complicates retaliation because responsibility can be diffused. It reduces the risk of immediate full-scale state confrontation. But this architecture also contains inherent risks. Proxy networks are not perfectly controllable. Local dynamics can escalate independently. Miscommunication between actors can produce unintended consequences. If Hezbollah escalates militarily against Israel, Iran may not launch missiles directly, but the perception of Iranian coordination would shape any response, and perception often drives escalation as much as reality. The structural design of this network means that a localized confrontation can quickly acquire regional dimensions. When multiple actors are interconnected through military logistics, intelligence sharing, and ideological alignment, a spark in one location can reverberate across the entire system. The Middle East today is layered with advanced military hardware. Israel maintains one of the most sophisticated air defense architectures in the world. Its systems are designed in tiers, intercepting short-range rockets, medium-range missiles, and longer-range ballistic threats at different altitudes and stages of flight. These defenses have proven effective in past conflicts, but no air defense system is infinite. Saturation is always a risk. Hezbollah's strategy appears to account for this. By maintaining a large volume of projectiles, it aims to overwhelm defensive interceptors through sheer numbers. At the same time, Israel has invested heavily in intelligence capabilities designed to detect launch preparations and preemptively strike storage sites. This creates a dynamic of constant surveillance and counter-surveillance. Iran, meanwhile, continues developing long-range missile systems and drone technologies capable of extended reach. Its naval forces operate in and around critical waterways, including areas adjacent to major global energy routes. Now consider what happens if a single miscalculation occurs. A strike intended as limited retaliation hits a strategic infrastructure node. Civilian casualties rise beyond expectations. A retaliatory response expands in scope. Financial markets react instantly. Oil prices spike. Global shipping insurance premiums surge. Energy importing economies feel immediate pressure. The Strait of Hormuz, through which a significant percentage of the world's oil supply transits, lies within operational reach of Iranian capabilities. Even the perception of instability there can disrupt global supply chains. This is why the potential conflict cannot be viewed as merely a localized confrontation. It intersects with global economic stability, and as alliances solidify, with the United States maintaining commitments to Israel's security and regional Gulf states navigating their own strategic calculations, the room for de-escalation narrows. Because when multiple advanced militaries operate within close geographic proximity, the margin for error becomes dangerously thin. Military planners in the region understand that the next war would not resemble previous confrontations. It would not be limited to sporadic rocket fire followed by negotiated ceasefires. The density of weapons now positioned across southern Lebanon and northern Israel suggests something far more intense and sustained. Hezbollah's missile network is believed to be decentralized. Launch sites are dispersed, concealed within civilian areas, and embedded inside hardened underground facilities. This structure complicates preemptive targeting. Destroying such a network requires extensive intelligence, precision, and prolonged air campaigns, both of which carry risks of civilian casualties and international condemnation. Israel, for its part, has developed rapid response drones designed to strike command centers, logistical nodes, and weapons depots within hours of escalation. Its air force maintains high readiness levels. Its intelligence agencies closely monitor movements across Lebanese territory. But readiness itself can become destabilizing. When both sides maintain elevated alert levels, the time available for decision-making shrinks. Political leaders may have minutes, not days, to determine whether an incoming strike represents limited signaling or the beginning of full-scale war. The presence of precision-guided munitions increases this tension further. In earlier conflicts, many rockets were unguided and relatively inaccurate. Today, the introduction of guidance systems means infrastructure could be targeted with far greater accuracy. That changes calculations dramatically. Critical infrastructure, electricity grids, desalination plants, ports, gas platforms, becomes vulnerable. A strike on energy infrastructure would have cascading effects not only domestically but internationally. Consider also the maritime dimension. Eastern Mediterranean waters have gained economic significance due to offshore gas discoveries. Naval patrols, surveillance drones, and anti-ship missile systems operate in close proximity. Any confrontation extending into maritime space could disrupt commercial shipping and regional energy extraction. Then there is the broader regional layer. If hostilities expand, other aligned groups across the region could open additional fronts. Rocket fire from another direction, drone strikes on distant bases, harassment of shipping lanes. Even if these actions remain limited, they stretch defensive systems and complicate diplomatic containment efforts. Modern warfare in this region would not unfold in a straight line. It would be multidimensional. Cyber operations, drone warfare, missile exchanges, maritime maneuvers, and political pressure campaigns unfolding simultaneously. And in such an environment, escalation does not require intent. It requires only misinterpretation, a radar misreading, a malfunctioning interceptor, a communication breakdown between commanders. History has repeatedly demonstrated that when heavily armed adversaries operate in tight geographic spaces, accidents can accelerate faster than diplomacy. Military capacity alone does not determine whether war begins. Political calculations do. Inside Lebanon, Hezbollah occupies a unique and powerful position. It is deeply integrated into the country's political framework while also maintaining autonomous military authority. Any large-scale conflict involving Hezbollah inevitably impacts the Lebanese state itself. Lebanon's economy has faced severe crises in recent years. Currency collapse, banking instability, infrastructure strain. A major war would compound these vulnerabilities. Yet Hezbollah's strategic calculus is not purely economic, it is ideological and regional. Within Iran, political leadership faces its own pressures: economic sanctions, inflation, domestic dissatisfaction, and international isolation. Demonstrating regional strength can serve internal political purposes. It signals resilience. It reinforces ideological commitments. It projects deterrence outward. Israel's political landscape is also complex. Security concerns remain central to national policy. Public tolerance for sustained rocket fire is limited. Any perception of weakened deterrence can have electoral consequences. Leaders must balance the desire to avoid prolonged conflict with the imperative to respond decisively to threats. The United States adds another dimension. Washington maintains long-standing commitments to Israel's security. It also maintains military assets throughout the region. At the same time, American policymakers are cautious about entanglement in another prolonged Middle Eastern conflict. This creates a strategic dilemma. If escalation begins, the United States may feel compelled to provide defensive support, intelligence sharing, logistical assistance, or naval positioning. Yet deeper involvement risks widening the confrontation. Regional Gulf states observe these dynamics carefully. Some have recalibrated relations with Iran in recent years, seeking de-escalation. Others remain wary of Tehran's influence. Their decisions, whether to facilitate military operations, allow overflight permissions, or remain neutral, will shape the trajectory of any crisis. Every actor in this system is calculating deterrence. Hezbollah seeks to maintain credibility without triggering overwhelming destruction. Iran seeks to expand influence without inviting direct war. Israel seeks security without entering a multi